This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to take a look at the Legends of Dragonore Power Clash PowerCon exclusive set. On the front we've got the nice splash page with the dragon head, which also is very similar to the dragon head on the castle. When we turn it around, well, on the side we also get the same as the cover, but on the back we get a picture of our first wave figures, as well as the first 3 dragons that they will be releasing as part of this collection. The dragons themselves all look like they have the same basic body, different armor, and different heads, as well as different weapons. And from what I've seen on some of the images from the convention, the dragons will be able to sit on all 4s so that the riders can, or so the other figures can ride on top of them. The harness is acting also as a saddle, I believe. And I'm wondering if that means that they'll have a second set of hands for the 4-legged position. When we turn the set around and open it up, we are treated to our 3 convention exclusive figures, as well as another image of one of the dragons. To go along with that, when we turn this around, we are given a nice amount of information here to add to some of the lore that we have been waiting for. On every world there exists an ancient well of secrets. These portals are passageways between dimensions used by heroes, rogues, monsters, and adventurers. Each well is hidden inside an ancient fortress whose walls have been charred by the fiery breath of the ancient dragons. Through the Well of Secrets in Castle Dragonore, the fearless Barbaro will lead a group of heroic champions on a quest to retrieve the mythical divine armors of power. The divine armors forged from dragon ore are critical to the heroes in their fight against the forces of the wizard Oscuro and his evil masters. The Legends of Dragonore claim that the divine armors hold the power of the gods, and when united, the power far exceeds that of the individual pieces. The treacherous dark magic apprentice Oscuro has also learned of the divine armors from his mentor, Dragon Lord. New magical powers have given Oscuro an edge that Barbaro and his heroic champions will have a difficult time overcoming. The clash for power begins! Alright, so we'll turn this back around and open it up. And I guess I gotta take everything out of here. I am going to open up the other side so I can also push it out. There we go. So we have our 3 figures sitting on a nice base here that comes out really easily, which is really nice. I appreciate that. Barbaro's weapons in the back, as well as Oscuro's. But they also treat us to a little diorama, which would be great for displaying. And a cape. So we got some nice little scenery back here as well. I mean, take a look at that. That's actually really cool. I like that. I mean, this is definitely designed to be a display piece. I kind of wish some of the other companies would take more of a look at doing something similar to this, because this is beautiful. But we can also, you know, we still have the other side where we had it earlier, showing the divine armor. And it too can be shown this way as well. So thank you, Formo Toys, for putting this together. I certainly appreciate the effort you've put in this, and I believe this will be part of my display. let's set this aside for the moment and bring out the figures. Lots and lots of tape, but it easily breaks, so that's nice. Now we're dealing with a bunch of like little plastic tabby things that make you want to scream. I gotta say, they got pretty creative with this packaging though. I think it's some of the best I've seen. Got our Oscuro. We've got our divinearmor. And we have Barbaro. And I just noticed that Barbaro's little feet thingies don't, or I guess would they qualify as spats? They don't actually go underneath his foot, which is, I mean, it's understandable, but also kind of a shame. Of course, we now have Oscuro's weapon. This time it's in the blue to match his armor. And he is stiff. Alright, so let's take a look at Barbaro first. And we will compare him to the first wave release, where we see his armor is a little bit darker, or his, well, I guess technically not armor, but his harness is darker in the new version, or the convention exclusive version, using blue instead of gold. Otherwise, of course, it's the same basic figure, just the different color scheme. I gotta say, I actually really like this color scheme on the convention exclusive one better than the Wave 1 version. I think it looks a lot cooler. It screams barbarian a little bit more to me, although I kind of wonder if maybe a different color than blue would have worked out. Like, if we got it with like a coppery color, that would have probably looked really good at that too. His belt has a little less detail than previously, but that seems to be about the only real difference in the deco placing. Everything else just matches up, and he looks a lot cooler. And of course, he's got the same articulation, head, neck. You can pop the head off. You can pop the arm off. Then it spins around. You can pop the forearm off. And it also spins around. The waist has the 360. Pops off as well. It's going to be said a lot here today, I think. The boot cut also spins in a 360. Pop off. Ooh. I took some of the paint off with it though, but that's not a big deal. The thighs can pop off, although I warn you, in my experience, they've been a pain in the butt to get back on. And then of course, when I say that, it goes on without a problem. Of course, you can kick up and back a little bit. As before, I do kind of wish they had added just a little bit more articulation in there, like a ball joint. But then again, it is one of those things where the modular parts on the figure can actually be used pretty much anywhere on the figure, at least on the male ones. So if you want to do body horror stuff, here you go. He's got a leg coming out of his arm. That being said, let's go ahead and set him aside, and we will take a look at Oscuro next. Oscuro is this time been cast in a green transparent plastic, making him look both sickly and mystical at the same time. An impressive feat. Like Barbaro, he comes with all the same equipment. We've got his cape in a bag that I apparently don't know how to open. I really do like his cape. Although I do prefer to put it under the harness. Of course, as before, the harness comes off really easy. I would have shown that with Barbaro, but he is such a pain in the butt to get the harness back on that I really didn't want to. Because whenever you don't have to undo these little tabs, the better it is. Okay, so we got that. He, of course, has the same articulation as the previous ones, just that all the articulation is stiff, especially with this one. I think probably because of the paint that's used on the clear areas. And I wonder. It does look like the upper arms, the bicep area, is cast in just a different color plastic and probably painted over to match better with this, instead of all molded in the clear plastic, but I could be wrong. And the paint would make sense just to match it up better, because let's be honest, when we see Transformers where they use plastic and then paint it on clear plastic, the colors never match up and they look really terrible. So I appreciate them making that effort with this one. He will get out his staff. The staff itself is molded in a purple plastic, possibly the same as this harness, although the harness does look like it might be painted. The staff, on the other hand, does not appear to be painted at all. But it still looks pretty good. And mayhaps we will get it in place. So let's take a look at our other Oscuro. And I dropped his weapon. They did stick with kind of having the white hair, although it does look a little different, but I think that might have more to do with it being painted on the clear plastic instead of, you know, just being a different color used. The harness has the same paint job. He does have a variation on the deco on his belt where you can see they use two different colors for the studs and the gem there. And now that I've been looking at this for a moment, I've also noticed some paint issues here. Looks like some of the paint got scratched off of the boot up here, as you can see. And I can see some of the paint is actually on his thigh. I'm not sure if you can see that or not with the camera. But I'll have to take some cleaner and clean that off of there. Probably nothing I can do about the boot though. Where Oscuro's cape, the original one, looks like it's actually two pieces of fabric sewn together in order to get this look. This cape is literally just the furry fabric without any hemming done on it. So that's a little bit of a negative in this case, I would say, because I don't think it definitely doesn't look as nice from the back. And with it not being kind of hemmed in with the other part, I think we're going to see a lot of fraying at the edges eventually. Let's go ahead and put them in the back here. But I bet you that's not the part you're here for. What you want to see, oops, oh dear. What you really want to see is, of course, the new divine armor. As with the previous figures, of course, we do have all the same articulation and jointing. And of course, ooh, that's kind of interesting. The divine armor this time is cast in a clear red plastic instead of the opaque red plastic that the previous one was, or at least I assume it was opaque red plastic. And what's really interesting here, and I'll have to take another look at the other figure to see, but they've actually got like, it's actually not just clear red plastic. Man, okay, so looking at this, it looks like the armor is actually multiple pieces, and I didn't realize that the first time. So like, we've got this clear purple plastic on the arm, and then on top of that is sitting a clear red plastic. So that's really cool. That's a bunch of detail that I had not been expecting, because the helmet itself also has like the clear red plastic, but then it's got the purple plastic fins, ears, whatever you want to call them. So the arms themselves are the clear purple plastic with the red over it. The legs, the thighs here, are the clear red plastic, and it's got these purple fins in there. And of course, the boots themselves are also the clear purple plastic attached to it, with deco on there to paint the gold, white, and black, and the blue. Now I'm going to admit, I was not expecting this amount of detail from this. Like, I think when we bring out, like, compare it to the original one, I had honestly assumed that this was all paint on here. I did not realize at that point, and I really should have. I'm going to have to make sure I take a better look at these things to see. They didn't paint that part there. Probably because they can't match that clear. So, but yeah, the next set of new figures, because wave 1.5 is just going to be repainted these, aside from the divine armor. I am going to have to take a really close look at where the plastics meet, because yeah, I honestly was not expecting, like, the armor especially to be made in separate parts and then glued together like that. And I think in a lot of these cases, I think it's the paint. So here we have the fins stuck in there, but when you put the paint on it, the paint kind of fills in the gaps, so you don't really notice that it's a separate piece. So that, I mean, that is just stunning. I am flabbergasted by the amount of detail on that. The face itself on the armor, wait a minute. I'm kind of curious, I don't know. I really kind of wish that one of these two, the little neck peg would, or neck hole would pop out, because looking at this especially, it looks like there's another piece of plastic in there. The black eyes. At first I thought it was translucent, but it's not. But yeah. So I don't know if this is if this helmet is made up of 3 different plastics to have the eyes be different than the mask and the main helmet. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Man, they really put a lot of effort, especially into this one. Now initially, and I mean, overall, I still think maybe this armor does look better overall than the transparent version. But just seeing that the detail here and that the different levels of plastic here, because let's be honest, if they had just done like the body in the transparent purple and then just painted over it, it would not look as good as it does like this. I mean, that is gorgeous. And I don't mean to gush over it, but that is more detail in a figure than I think I've seen any other company do in a very long time. And I wonder if they designed this specifically knowing that when they created a reissue of it, they were going to do that. Hopefully Emiliano will reply to this video and let me know if that was in their thought process. He has commented on a couple of the other videos previously. And hopefully, if I got his name pronounced wrong, he will let me know. Anyway, let's take out our old versions here, because we do have the little diorama set. Just fell apart on me as I tried to move it. Oopsie, my bad. Sorry, I bumped the camera, so I had to reposition everything. So I don't know if it's going to line up with where I cut it. Although I might put that in the blooper spot at the end. Oh, I guess he probably would look better over there. The divine armor can still go here. And Barbaro can go over here. And there you have it. The Legends of Dragonore Power Clash set with the repaints of Barbaro, Divine Armor, and Oscuro. When 1.5 comes out, though, that will mean that we will actually have 3 versions of Barbaro and Oscuro, and 2 versions of every other character. So please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think of the effort that they put into the different layers of plastic on that divine armor, and if you think it turned out really well. And of course, what versions of the figures you prefer overall. Thanks. Peace and love. I just wanted to add a little bit to the end of something I've also noticed since I started taking some of the photos that I put at the end of my videos, and that is also with the way the capes are made. The original Oscuro having the 2 fabric cape and the convention exclusive version having the 1 fabric. You can see where the 1 fabric cape is just kind of sitting there limply, where the original Oscuro's cape also kind of bows out more, so it's almost like, you know, trailing behind him in a dramatic manner. But not only that, I also noticed that actually the new staff apparently was made in clear plastic and painted over. And you can just barely see a round of clear plastic there where the main part of the staff meets the top. So I thought that was a little bit of interesting additional information to give you. Through the well of secrets in Castle Dwagon.